Hey there for Dragonfly and me friends. Welcome to another episode of Jean in the Garden in the Kitchen. But again, here in Michigan, the sun is trying so hard to peep out right now, but it rained all day yesterday. And so I, again, wanted to do this out in the greenhouse and do a video, but I still have a lot of my grasses that I had planted a little bit ago in there, and I would have room, but to put my camera out there, it'd have to be outside, like right outside my door. And I don't feel comfortable if all of a sudden it starts raining. So I am going to do this episode in my kitchen. And if you are new, if this is your first time visiting, welcome. I'm Jean Roman, and you are at For Dragonflies and Me. So welcome, friends, new and old. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to always say it. If you enjoy or get some value out of the content here at my YouTube page, my blog, my podcast, my Instagram and Facebook, please smash that subscribe button and smash that like button, and even more, share it out. Tell your friends about it, and help me build my subscribership. I super appreciate it. So if you watched my video the other day on how to prepare nasturtiums for planting, you would have seen me soak them in these little dishes after I nicked them with a pair of nail clippers. And so just a recap, if you missed that, definitely go back and watch that video. But what I did is I took a pair of nail clippers and I take one of the seeds, and then I just kind of put like a little clip in it, little nick it, which is why it's called nicking. And it just helps the water absorb into the seed, and then the water, and soaking it in like a room temperature water, not hot, obviously, and definitely not ice cold. But then you can let them soak for about 12 to 24 hours, and then drain them and and then you're going to be ready to plant them. So I also mentioned that the seeds that float are more than likely not viable. I always plant them anyway. I can't throw it away. I can't throw that seed away. If it doesn't germinate, at least I know I gave it my best, right? So some of them did soak. And one thing I forgot to mention in that other video was, in about 15 minutes, even some of the ones that float, they will sink once they start taking on some water, which is a good sign. So in all, my Alaska nasturtiums, there were 4 that kept floating, and in my dwarf cherry rose, only 3. So I was happy with that. I let mine soak for a little over 24 hours. That's not a big deal. I did read online that, they recommend no more than 24 hours. I've always soaked them for at least 24 hours because that hard casing, it really does help the little embryo inside pop out. And that's what we want, because do you have to soak or nick nasturtium seeds? No. You can definitely just plant them in the dirt. It will, the natural moisture in the soil will help do that. But I want to give them a little head start because I want them to grow quickly. So do you have to? No. Do I recommend that you do? Yes, your choice. But if you're here, you're obviously interested in how to grow nasturtiums. One other thing I want to briefly remind everybody, or somebody that is just new here, nasturtiums are an edible plant. Both the leaf and the blossom are edible, and they add a really wonderful peppery flavor to a salad. You can toss the leaves into a vegetable, but generally I use any edible flowers and whatnot in salads, as well as maybe some drinks to make them pretty. But very peppery and very, very, very tasty. The Alaskas are really pretty because they actually have a variegated white and green leaf, and their leaves are so beautiful. They almost look like a lily pad leaf. And so just a beautiful plant. Even if you don't want to eat it, I definitely encourage you to grow them as like borders. If you have like an elevated flower bed with stone or rock, they trail over and they're just beautiful. 2 different types of vining and bush, like a mound type. So definitely look at the package descriptions or the seed catalog description to see if it's a mounding or a vining. So depending on what you're going for aesthetically in your gardens and your landscaping, you definitely want to, think about that. So let's plant. But as always, welcome for Dragonflies and Me. Again, I'm Jean Roman. Smash that subscribe button and smash that like button. Leave me a comment. I love your feedback. Do you grow nasturtiums? Have you eaten them? Have you ever tried them? What questions do you have? Leave me a comment and I will be glad to respond back. So I brought in some more of my little peat pots. And I have some of the attached ones and then some of the loose ones. So these are great. If you saw my video the other day where I was, Dave and I were making self-watering water planters using water bottles. I showed that, I had planted my tomato seedlings in here with an eggshell in the bottom to help give my little tomatoes the calcium that they need to grow beautifully and lush. And so these are the same pots, and these break down, and you can put those right into your garden beds. But I always recommend, crack them open so the plant can, the roots can expand. They're not going to be root bound in these, but they do break down. They're totally recyclable. So I already got a few of the pots filled up. So I brought in some dirt from the greenhouse, and this is organic potting mix. It's actually raised bed soil potting mix. Excuse me, friends. My allergies are, my throat is super dry. And did you know I'm Canadian? So I've been here since I was like 20. I'll be 54 this summer. But so I still love my Tim's, my Tim Hortons. So I do have an iced coffee. I'm going to take a sip because I'm talkative and my throat's dry. So I'm going to finish filling these up. And my thought process here was I'm going to put my dwarf cherry rose in the round ones because I have more. And then I will put my Alaskas in the square because that's going to fit right about them. The other day when I was showing you how to prepare the seeds for planting, I did mention that sometimes with the ones that floated, I'll put them in with another seed that I felt was viable. So I'm not wasting dirt or wasting a pot. I mean, I would have just thrown it back into the garden and recycled it anyway, but Okay, so here we go. I am ready to start planting these. And the trick with planting seeds like this, some seeds like lettuces and carrots that are teeny tiny, you don't want to put them too deep because those seeds are going to sprout quickly and they're going to want to shoot up out of the soil. So they can be buried a little more shallow. But where you're going to plant this seed or like a bean seed or a pea seed, corn, beets, you want to plant those a little bit deeper. So I always say right up to about your first knuckles where you want to go. So again, I'm planting my Alaskas now. And what I do is I'm just going to take my seeds and I'm going to put one in each right in the center, lay them on top. And I'm going to have some extra. So I don't want to use more pots. So what I'll do with those ones is I'm going to kind of kitty corner them. And I'll put one in one corner, one in another corner, instead of putting them right in the center. So when you're only doing one seed, put it right in the center. And this way, when these seeds sprout, fingers crossed, they'll be easier to separate because their roots are going to get intertwined. And so obviously I don't want to stunt them or put them into shock by ripping their roots. And when I transplant these, I'm definitely going to be doing another video. And with my tomatoes too, because some of my tomatoes, I always plant two seeds together just in case again. And so they are close. And so I'm going to show you how to very carefully separate those. So now I'm taking the seeds that were floating, the ones that I don't think are necessarily viable, but again, don't have the heart to throw them away. And so I got those planted. So now I'm just going to carefully take my finger and press down on each seed to about my first knuckle. And then I'm going to take a little more soil and bury them. And then tamp those down. Tamp. If I had another one of these containers, I would actually press it down to tamp that soil. So now my Alaskas are planted, and now I'm going to take my beautiful dwarf cherry. These are probably tied for my favorite, and I'm actually going to go on Baker Creek catalog because I want to find, they're called lemon drop, I want to believe. They're like a buttery yellow and they're a vining nasturtium and they are just stunning. And I will actually put some of these in my raised bed gardens as well because they are wonderful companion plants with your vegetables. They act as a pollinator source for our happy little bugs that we want to attract to our garden. And so I am just planting 2 seeds in each of these. Again, I want to utilize the pots that I have. I may have to grab a few more. I thought I counted them out, so I think I should be good. But the other reason, a little pro tip here, the other reason I don't plant and bury, I stick the seed in each one first, is because they all look the same. And if I bury them and then I look, I'm like, oh man, did I already plant seeds in this one? And then you kind of got to dig around, and I don't want to do that. And so as I've learned over the years, setting the seeds on top, all the plants all at once, and then covering them. I got a couple more here. I know that I didn't miss a pot and I got all my seeds buried. So I am going to put together a few more of my pots afterwards. But so I am now going to do exactly what I showed you. These things get stuck. There we go. So I'm going to add a little bit more soil into each one. I've pushed them down in and I can see that they're happy. And so easy peasy getting my babies planted. And so a little bit more in that one. Got to have everybody covered. You definitely want to make sure that your seeds are covered. And so this is what I'm talking about, tamping down. So I'm tamping down, and then I'm also making sure that there's a little room along the edges. A few of these I did fill up a little more than I should have, but I want to be able to give it some room to where the water can soak down. But this is really, gotta cover that baby. There we go. Plant those. Then I need to do about 4 more. So friends, this is another exciting episode of Jean in the Kitchen Garden. And I am always very thankful that you guys come out and watch. I love what I do. I love gardening. I love cooking. I love sharing all this information with you. So be sure to visit me on my blog for dragonfliesandme.com to see daily content. I post recipes. I post gardening. I just did a hummingbird migration blog on, how and when to start putting out your hummingbird feeders. I do organizational stuff, and I have a wonderful podcast where I talk to incredible entrepreneurs in so many incredible fields, gardening, cooking, and whatnot. But today, we're going to wrap it up. I will be back soon, and I'm going to show you, be sure to check over on my Instagram page. If I did a video not too long ago about planting my spring garlic, well, friends, I'm going to be posting pictures of how beautiful they are. I just took a picture of them in the greenhouse today, so that's coming to Instagram later, so you got to check it out. So again, for Dragonflies and Me at Instagram, for Dragonflies and Me at Facebook, my blog, YouTube, here, everywhere. So as always, friends, thank you so much for joining me. Please smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and visit me often, leave me comments. But like I always say, friends, until next time, be sure to eat fresh, shop local, and have a happy day. See you all soon.